New dirty loops? Let's do this. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Low End University. It's always a great day when Dirty Loops has new music out. And I'm not a channel that really jumps on new songs, and I don't want to feel like I'm trying to capitalize on them. That's not what I do here. I like great bass playing and great music, but I'm going to make an exception because I love Dirty Loops and Henrik Linder. But Dirty Loops have released a track called Runaway just 3 days ago, and a few of you guys think I should check it out. I had a blast dissecting and breaking down Baby and Thriller, and check those out after this. But without further ado, let's get right into it. Runaway by Dirty Loops. E. Wait, did I see multiple hands? Okay, we keep going. I gotta figure out what that's about. What? Okay, pretty epic. Right out of the gate, big E chord, A flat. Sounds like we're in E major, big epic synth kind of melody going on. Let's keep it going. Nice and catchy too. I don't know what that was. I couldn't tell if that was like a synth line and the bass was doubling it, or if that was his tone. Holy cow, just look at that bass on this shot. Pink, is that pink strings? He's always so innovative, flashy, like loud colors, loud appearance. I love everything about it. So far, Jonah's vocals, just such a great, soft but crisp voice. Their production is always insane. It sounds so massive. It's actually pretty loud in my ears, but I don't feel like turning it down. I'm going to go back and see that bass part come in. Some tapping. I brought out the 6 string just because I know he plays 6 string. I feel like I had to have it just to maybe have a chance to understand what's going on. Let's start here. Must be just like an octave or way up or something. I'm going to let it play, but that's just really interesting, unexpected thing so far. Back in the slap. You know, I talked about this in the Dirty video. The way he can traverse the strings going down with slapping, because slapping is normally you're kind of going up most of the time. You have the muting of the palm on the plucking hand, the slapping hand to kind of mute it, but coming back down, it's so interesting how he can just go, but just add all those diddles, the double thump stuff. And the way he can just kind of traverse so smoothly, it's almost like he's playing like a complicated finger style groove, but he's can kind of just so musical with that technique. You know, you learn these techniques as bass players, and they're really great to sit there and go. But using it musically is where it really graduates to being something artistic. And I think out of all the bass players I can think of, the way he incorporates that technique is so musical, whether it's some wacky effects octaver thing here, but it sounds like he's going back into the normal octave and grabbing and making sure there's actually a bass line present. You know, he went way up here into this kind of tapping, whatever that was. I'll go back to that in a second, but just a comment on his amazing technique. I love it. and it just looks so smooth and effortless. Let's keep that going. Notice how he's putting his thumb right there. Key thing, I've talked about this in a lot of videos, I'm never going to stop mentioning it. Having accurate two-handed tapping like that is crucial by having your thumb mounted somewhere on the neck. That way you have a fulcrum point at your wrist. And, it allows that, accuracy to not come from a shoulder. It can kind of come from your wrist and have these smaller movements. I don't know what to make of this so far. Back to the intro a bit. Really has like a poppy kind of dance thing going on. They hadn't really I feel like the beat hasn't dropped here yet. I think I'm just curious if those extra hands are something that's foreshadowing something later. But it's like Dirty Loops just really popified, which is kind of a spin on saying loopified, which I love that record. But I'm gonna keep it going. The drumming is outstanding. I feel like he's snuck in a lot of really choppy stuff. And there's an art to sounding complicated in the way they do, but still be so accessible and far-reaching past just a jazz fusion audience, which is kind of where their roots are. And, this is an interesting stylistic change based on what I've heard, but those are my observations thus far. Let's keep it rolling. Ooh, up to D. Is that the flat 7? They kind of made it Mixolydian, maybe? I figured it was that octave wah. Maybe they showed it earlier and I wasn't watching, but kind of like the Cliff Burton thing. Anesthesia Pulling Teeth. I felt like he had that Morley wah just kind of can shift up to those higher octaves and play around in the space of the synths. And then come back down in an instant and be the bass again. That's a really creative way to use bass. I love that. See, he's back in the normal octave here. Holy shit. Key change there? They change keys, they're real smooth. I talk a lot about some of their theory stuff, I think, in the Baby video, that they can just reharmonize a melody. In that case, they're reharmonizing a Justin Bieber song, taking the melody, keeping it pretty native to the original. And reharmonizing just means changing the chords under the melody, which recontextualizes where the melody sits in a chord progression. Now, I can't really sit here and say they've reharmonized their own song, but, they have so much color. Their color palette is so rich in their songwriting. And the way they just kind of change keys there, you'll notice it got a little darker sounding, because before we started out in kind of an E major, relative minor. Very kind of holistic progression. You notice here, it's got that darker tinge now. They went to that D, which might have been a pivot chord to get more into an E minor sound, which is what kind of sounds like here. I'll address that sweep picking tapping thing in a minute. Don't worry. That. Wow. riding on this A. It's darker now. Yeah, that's such a smooth modulation. They kind of hinted at it going to that D major, the flat 7 and E major. Then they hung on that A a while. And they're now in E minor. So they basically went from E major to E minor in a very smooth way. That's awesome. Woo. Relative major. I want to go back and pause that shot for a second. That's wild. He's obviously got two different basses here for the video. Okay. I think that's the St. Madison basses. I know he plays those. That looks like that logo. I don't know a ton about that company. Love just like the props of the additional hands. Is that suggesting I'm a badass and I can play as if I had 3 hands? If that's the case, I would agree. And it's like pink strings on both basses. But anyway, when he has the other bass, the pink one, doing like a sweep picking thing there. I can't even say picking because there's no picking, but he's got the hair tie pulled up, which is pretty crucial when you record stuff like that because, you know, doing multi-string tapping on bass at that speed and that range of the notes is just always innately going to be messy unless you have you're just hugging the neck, catching every dead string. But it's just amazing the arpeggio shapes he's throwing in there, you know, just all sorts of like... You know, just the way he's traversing those strings and just splitting up the 2s and the 3s to get it so clean. You know, I'm not even going to try to attempt that. And I was scared to go in this video because of how much of a monster he is on bass. But adding that octaver pedal probably adds some distortion because it's obviously got some sort of drive on it that goes ooh-wee and just really makes it cut through. But that would, you know, an effect like that would make a tapping thing cut a lot more clearly, but that's not taking away from his ability at all. Just an amazing use of the instrument. I love forward-thinking 6-string approaches, which is why I own this, because I try to think in those same ways too. You know, how can you just expand the horizons of bass in its traditional sense? And, you know, I can't think of a better guy in the scene that does it more than Henrik. It's insane. Back to that kind of intro motif. Got me. Trick ending. It was like that on the Thriller video with Corey Wong. I was like, is this it? Awesome. Well, that's certainly a stylistic pivot for Dirty Loops. Definitely more on that pop, synth pop type of thing, but with their signature jazz fusion chops, songwriting, arrangement, orchestration. You know, Dirty Loops music is very like high stimuli, very overstimulating in a way if you listen to it too long. And sometimes I'm in the mood just for that. But there is no shred of unnecessary playing to me. I feel like as over the top as their style is, everything seems very intentional to either support a melody or a chord progression, or in the case of the covers they've done, they feel like they've amplified the great things that the song already had before they covered it. Now, hearing an original like this, again, I've heard more of their covers. I loved Loopified. The few things they did with Corey Wong were awesome. Follow Your Light or whatever. And of course, the Thriller video, I loved hearing them kind of reharmonize that same thing as well. But their original music is just like a launch pad to take everything they've kind of grabbed from these songs and what they've developed into their own sound. And I think every band and every member in this band is the MVP. I mean, Jonah I know he's classically trained, an amazing range and voice. And I feel like I could talk about Aron all day on drums. I think out of anybody in the band, he's able to make the drum parts so complex, but never lose you. Henrik loses you a little bit, but I think that's more of the fact that you don't see bass players do this stuff a lot. And the techniques he's used and able to incorporate into a song packaged in something mainstream accessible might be a great move for them. This is a little bit more poppy than what I've heard. I'm curious to hear more from this record. I don't know if it's just a one-off single. I didn't look it up. There might not be much information considering this dropped 3 days ago, but this is great. I'm glad I'm up to speed for once and catching something when it comes out. Thank you guys for recommending this, the few that you did, and please go check out my previous Dirty Loops videos. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Please like and subscribe. Follow me on Patreon if you'd like to support the channel further. I love you all. Cheers, and we'll see you next time.